who cares? Who cares where this, this rally, right? But then they're making a big deal. Well, safety-wise, because they've been preparing for this for a long time. Now they have to switch venues for him to do this and go to a different state, and the security might not be in place because this is stuff that they plan, a year in advance or supposedly. And they do all the detailed work on every possible entrance, the stuff you see in the movies, right? Oh, there's an entrance here, and we have to make sure we mark that and have someone watching that and add cameras and do all the other crap that they claim to do when everything is just a show anyway. But they're talking more and more about that, and then they're saying, well, the reason being is because it's still a social distancing state, and Trump doesn't want a social distance. He wants a big crowd and a big rally there. So he needs to find another venue. So that's another thing to keep an eye on, because I've never heard, who cares where it is? When do you ever hear stuff like this? And someone might say, well, it's probably because they want to push, that Trump still doesn't believe in the C-19, and he thinks that it's outrageous and all that, and that social distancing needs to stop, so then they can say that there's another outbreak of it, and they can make him look bad. Maybe so. But it's definitely something, if you were to mark a list of things that you see being repeated through the media, that's one of them. Because I've been hearing this story for over a week now, and I've been saying, well, I don't understand why anyone would care where he goes, unless you have front row seats, which is pretty sad as it is, right? So it's another thing to just keep in mind if something is supposed to be planned, but the hints have been there. I want to know what you guys think about it. Obviously, you can't go into great detail here on YouTube when it comes to stuff like this. But anything that does occur, I would believe would be completely fake and staged. And you would just, be rushed off to another tropical getaway with Epstein and the rest of them, who we hear, perish and don't. Because that's usually what they do. Now, sometimes do they actually do sacrifices? Yeah, they do. But stuff like this it's a massively planned out operation. And imagine how the people would react if something did occur. Because remember, problem, reaction, solution. This would be the biggest thing that they've created to come in with the biggest solution they've ever come in with. And that would be the bringing in of the Antichrist, the person who comes to bring peace after the chaos, because the chaos would ensue like never before. But at the same time, that type of chaos is going to ensue when they reselect him in the fall. Because there's no way, with the way things are pointing right now, there is no way, in my opinion, that they would be putting Biden in there. The way things are going with the chaos and everything like that. Unless you want to, make the argument that he's the guy, which could be possible. But the way that I see it, and look, I'm not the best at predicting this type of stuff when it comes to presidencies and what their plans are, when it comes to, who they put in these spots, because it's always evolving, it's always ever changing. I know they, in advance, years in advance, they pick who the candidates are going to be, right? And obviously we've seen all the predictive programming with Trump being in this spot with the Simpsons. We've also seen Simpsons use predictive programming showing him in a coffin, too, which is more predictive programming of something happening to him, which we'll have to keep an eye on. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section, and I'm just curious, if anyone's seeing any of the signs like hinted over and over like I am, again, and I know they've done it in the past. Now it just feels like it's really ramping up, almost like they were sensitizing people 3 years ago with it. Like I said, the stories of people jumping the fence and trying to get to Trump and all that, to now have kind of eased down, but people were like, oh, it's a possibility. And now suddenly with this, the first thing on a lot of people's minds, because they're going, oh, they're going to run into the White House with those smoke bombs in there with all the protests. Right? And the stories the other day, the White House went dark and Trump had to be ushered underground. And then you have to think back on all this stuff and how they've shown us this stuff in movies and music videos and in articles in the mainstream media and talking about it on television. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I just wanted to bring up the topic so you guys are in a place and a forum to talk about it. Again, a reminder, if you haven't checked out my website at callfornoprice.com, it's $2.99 a month. Please check it out. Great place to share information. No censorship over there. I love to see what you guys have to say and stuff you can share too. I get to read and watch your videos, so check it out if you haven't. You can always unsubscribe if you don't like it. Some people do, some people don't. Hey, that's life, right? But thanks again for all your support. God bless all of you and your families.
They're waiting. Yo, I really did that.
These are challenging times for everyone, but tyranny hasn't stopped. At Novo Nordisk, diabetes care won't stop. because it can't. We're working hard to keep our insulin and other diabetes medicines available and affordable for the people who rely on them. So if you need help paying for your Novo Nordisk diabetes medicines during this time, we're here to help. Call us or visit novocare.com.
Has got a key. They ain't give me no weapons and nothing. Like, I was trying to kick her feet. That's a hard game. I like that game.
I want to acknowledge the lives of Brianna, of Ahmad, and
I can't believe
many
it.
others by taking a 30-second moment of silence in order to remember those.
This is how we playing, dog.
Please join me for a moment of silence.
Alright, I gotta get the key. Do I know how to kick? That ugly behind kick, that's all she got. It's not even a strong kick.
Thank you. We speak their names, we hold them in our heart, and it is with their in action. It is now my pleasure to start where we should always start, with the future. With the young man that I had the pleasure to meet when we were at the My Brother's Keeper Ohio conference, where there's an incredible statewide network of My Brother's Keeper in Ohio. This young man, Playon Patrick, blew us away with his incredible words. Playon graduated from Fort Hays High School in Columbus, Ohio in May, class of 2020. He was a straight-A student, member of the National Honor Society, and a student council.
Mr. Mason, certain matters require discretion and finesse.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. You want a good laugh? You need a good laugh? Well, this is one of the funnier stories that's come out in regards to the CDC. They're backtracking. 1 week telling you to wear a mask, the next week telling you, starting saying you don't need one, a week later saying you do. Even admitting numbers are botched. I mean, the ridiculousness of it all, and it still hasn't woke up society. Get a load of this. The CDC has come out, and they have said that the testing for the C-19 is wrong up to half the time. I kid you not.
Guidance from the CDC says the antibody test may be wrong up to half of the time. News 4's Alyssa Toomey joins us live with details on that new information. Good morning, Alyssa.
Hey, good morning, Marissa. Well, we have two new key pieces of information here. The first, you mentioned there, the CDC says that those antibody tests may only be accurate half the time. The other key piece of information, the CDC says that those antibody tests aren't accurate enough in order to make policy decisions.
So let me get this straight. The tests are wrong half the time. But we're going to go by these tests. We're all going to stay quarantined. We're going to cost millions of people their jobs based on a test that's wrong half the time. And the people aren't uprising. The people aren't getting pissed. They're going, we got to trust in the CDC and Dr. Fauci. Let me get my Dr. Fauci shirt. They're telling you that they're wrong half the time. That's like getting tested for cancer, going back a week later and going, oopsies, sorry about that. Who wants to go off of anything that's wrong half the time? Would you take your car, fixed, the transmission was shot, and the guy was like, yeah, 50% of the time I do it right, the other 50% I don't. But if I don't do it right, I'm not going to do it again for you, all right? Would you go to a restaurant, they say, hey, 50% of the time, we cook the meat pretty good. The other 50%, it's actually raw and you can get salmonella. And we're going off of this, living our lives like this, when they're openly telling us that it's wrong half the time. Shouldn't this be a flag to say, this needs to end? Get back to work, open your businesses, take your mask. Everyone take your mask that you've been forced to have, your mask or your bandana. Take the biggest dump you can take and use it as instant toilet paper. And then on top of it, stand up and urinate on it and flush it. Or instead we just go, it's wrong half the time, but I don't want to do anything. I'm afraid. What if I get arrested? I've heard all these stories. The cops are arresting. Screw it. They can't even properly test for something. You know why? Because there's nothing to even test for. They'll come out and said, oh, I was diagnosed with it. Fine, nothing's wrong. And then, and suddenly it's gone in 3 days. I got tested again. And we don't know. Testing's not working 50% of the time. It's not working 50% of the time. That's like saying taking your temperature and it says and you feel like crap and you have 100 fever. And then you take it again, and it says that you have a 80 fever, 80-degree fever. I mean, what? And we listen to this. They're saying antibody tests used to determine if people have been infected in the past might be wrong up to half the time. Boy, that actually sounds familiar. This is according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, as they've said in their new guidance posted on their website. Wait, let me think about that for a second. It doesn't work half the time. Oh, I remember where I've heard that before. The flu shot. Remember all the videos I did where the doctors came out and they said, hey, the flu shot only works half the time. So if you get the shot and you're still getting the flu, don't blame us. They're telling you it doesn't work and you're going to go put some chemical in your body. You don't know what it is and you might end up puking and having the flu anyway. Why would you get it? Oh, and they're giving it away for free too? Nothing to be suspicious of. Oh my gosh, this is a joke. Antibody tests, often called serologic tests, look for evidence of an immune response to infection. Antibodies in some persons can be detected within the first week of illness onset. They are not accurate enough to use to make important policy decisions. Serologic test results should not be used to make decisions about grouping persons residing in or being admitted to congregate settings such as schools, dormitories, or correctional facilities. So in other words, we don't know what we're doing. We don't have a clue. And you know why they don't have a clue? They don't know because there's nothing going on. There's nothing to even test. This is all psychological. This is called PSYOP 101. It is a psychological operation. They have convinced the world that there's an outbreak. They've convinced the world to quarantine themselves conveniently in a home that is filled with security that the NSA is using to monitor them anyway. From the Ring to the Echo to the phone to the TV, over and over. And I'm not even mentioning everything because I can't think of all the crap that people have and use that gives the government the opportunity to monitor them. It's funny because people always would say, well, all the FEMA camps, they're ready for it. They're going to throw us all in. And I've said before, the FEMA camps will probably be used for Christians to throw them in. And I laugh because it's pretty obvious that that's what's coming, because mainly they're grouping everybody who thinks and believes in conspiracies are apparently Christian people, we're weak-minded. That's what they try to present. There's a lot of articles out there right now that talk about that. But nonetheless, everybody's been thinking we're going to get chucked into the FEMA camp. You don't need to get chucked into the FEMA camp. You already created a high-tech security system in your home where you're the test subject. It's like being in a padded room. Most people actually have CCTV cameras in their home, or at least outside their home, and inside in most cases, in case somebody breaks in, right? And how did they push all that? Oh, commercial after commercial with fear of a guy breaking in through your window wearing a ski mask, right? They love promoting those stories. Burglary here, burglary there. Oh, high burglary area. Not saying that that it doesn't happen. Of course it does. But putting in the fear to say, look, you got to get the camera, you got to get the ring. What were the stories about the ring, right? Oh, get the ring. And look what happens. We have footage here. Someone breaking into the home in the ring to save the day. People go, oh, I should get one of those because I travel a lot, or I'm not around all the time, and I have kids, right? Meanwhile, you created a high-tech prison for yourself. Anyway, back to this nonsense. Health officials and healthcare providers who are using antibody tests need to use the most accurate test they can find and might need to test people twice. So they want to test you twice. They want to get your DNA twice, get your saliva.
They got Shrek soon.
I mean, what an utter joke.
They got Shrek.
Is that what they're going to use now? They're going to say the tests were inaccurate. We need to retest everyone so that they can come out and inflate the data some more. And they should deflate the data. They should go, you know what? Half the cases, even though there's no cases in the first place, right? But you would think if 50% of the testing is wrong, then they should come out and say, well, then all the numbers that we've given aren't accurate. This amount of people didn't die. This amount of people don't have it. And we can all get back to living our lives now because we've put people out of work. We've shut down businesses. We're causing people to have mass psychosis by being quarantined in their home and having nothing to do, not being allowed to go out to nature. Then we even hear them telling us that we need to wear masks on the beach. We heard the mayor in New York, de Blasio, whatever he is, governor, mayor, tell people that if they were in the ocean on Memorial Day, the police were going to drag you out. These are your leaders that you're supposedly elect? No. These are leaders who are selected. This is an agenda that was pre-planned. Bohemian Grove, the Bilderberg meetings, where they meet in secret. Bilderberg, mainly the politicians and those people, but Bohemian Grove is an overflowing amount of low-life satanic filth who engage in all sorts of perverted acts with, well, minors. And while they're there doing that, during the day, they tell you every agenda that's going to happen during the year. And don't think for 1 second that they're not going to be up there. Because they are this year. Oh, but they're going to social distance. They're outside. They're going to wear masks. You can't see inside there of what they're doing for a reason. Because they'd all be arrested and thrown in jail for the acts they do with children, let alone this conspiring against your own citizens of the countries of the world. Because it's world leaders. They all conspire together to create this stuff and have the same message in the media and the brands and the corporations, the same message. And then the influencers, the celebrities who get invited. Why do you think they get invited and are hanging out with the CEO of Coca-Cola and everyone else who's a politician? You'd say, what do they have to do with each other? Well, they're all there to engineer you. They're all in the same secret societies. And this is about building a new world order. So the CDC comes out, they tell you that the tests aren't accurate. When will people wake up and say, if it's wrong 50% of the time, why in the world would I even get tested? How can I trust the test? And why are we still locked up at this point? I'm going to hold up a middle finger and tell them where they can stick it. Unbelievable. And thank you for listening to today's show. It's more and real by the day. It really does. God bless all of you and your families.
He said I gave it deal, right? He said I cried in his
News tonight. Rage across America. Protesters out today. Killing of George Floyd after major Parts of Atlanta flash. Minneapolis set on fire. Clashes with police and
These
city
are dipping.
businesses destroyed. Protesters outside the White House right now. On alert, the Pentagon readying the military to go into Minneapolis if needed. We can have troops on the ground very quickly. The entire National Guard there called up for the first time ever. New curfew set for tonight as cities brace for the work. Agents of chaos. Who is turning the protest violent? Far-left extremist groups using Antifa-like tactics. The new plan to crack down. The fallout from that packed pool party over Memorial Day weekend. One of them testing positive for coronavirus. Hundreds now told to quarantine as major cities take new steps to reopen. And liftoff, a historic launch into a new era of space travel. Is this it? Liftoff! 2 American astronauts on their way to space in a commercially made craft. The cameras as they leave the planet.
This is NBC Nightly News with Jose Diaz-Balart.
Begin tonight with 2 sides of the American experience. We'll watch history today, the thrilling first launch of Americans into space on board a privately run vehicle, a triumph of American ingenuity. But it comes as we brace for something else, the country's long history of racial injustice boiling over. These are the scenes of demonstrations today. Americans protesting the death of George Floyd under the knee of a white Minneapolis police officer. These were the scenes overnight. Violent clashes with police, and officials fear there will be more tonight. Our reporters are covering all angles on this story, and we begin with Blaine Alexander in Atlanta.
Tonight, in city after city, calls for justice continue to fill the streets.
I'm frustrated and I'm angry and I feel powerless.
Yes, we are upset. Yes, we are hurting. Yes, we want to go crazy.
But as protesters march, police monitor, racing for nightfall. Across the country, what started as peaceful gatherings protesting the death of George Floyd devolved into destruction. From New York, where police and protesters squared off in the streets, to Portland, where the mayor issued a state of emergency and a city curfew. Everyone off the streets by 8 p.m. after crowds set the city's Justice Center on fire. And in Los Angeles, crowds flooding the freeway, fire burning well into the night. In Oakland, a federal security guard was shot and killed overnight. Officials are still trying to determine whether this was related to the protests happening nearby at the same time. Our Joe Pryor is in nearby San Francisco.
Protesters today marched through the streets of San Francisco, coming here to City Hall for a peaceful rally. Authorities hope to avoid a repeat of what happened last night in Oakland, a night punctuated by fires and tear gas, with 60 people detained for looting and 13 officers injured.
Tense moments for this news crew in Louisville, Kentucky. A local reporter for NBC station Wave 3 pelted with officer-fired pepper balls on live TV. And in Atlanta, the governor issued a state of emergency after cars were set ablaze, including a police cruiser. Crowds descended on the CNN Center, defacing nearby restaurants and hotels. All of it despite this plea from Atlanta's mayor.
This is not a protest. This is not in the spirit of Martin Luther King Jr. This is chaos. A protest has purpose. We are better than this as a country. Home. Go home.
But amid the broken glass, a different gathering. Volunteers bringing brooms, gloves, and a will to restore their city.
I just want to show my kids the right thing to do, This is my city. We're going to wake up and we're going to start cleaning up.
And Blaine joins us now from Atlanta. How is the city preparing tonight?
Jose, they're preparing with more resources and more rules. Take a look behind me. It's looking much different here than it did this time last night. You see that the crowd is confined to a much smaller area. Police in a more concentrated area with zip ties. I'll show you right over here. This is one of the areas that was defaced. Well, as you can see, there are now barricades blocking the crowd. And then finally, Jose, I'll show you right back here. We're seeing more police vehicles moving up sooner than they did last evening. Jose, we've just gotten word that Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms has issued a curfew for the city of Atlanta starting at 9 p.m. tonight. Jose.
Ohio, thank you. In Minneapolis, the city where George Floyd was killed Monday, the governor is taking drastic measures to keep protesters off the streets after curfew tonight. Gabe Gutierrez is there. Tonight, after days of growing violence and unprecedented mobilization, the governor has activated Minnesota's entire National Guard for the first time in its history and urges attempts to stop another night of chaos, one he says would dwarf the others.
Well, if you are on the streets tonight, it is very clear you are not with us. You do not share our values, and we will use the full strength of goodness and righteousness to make sure that this ends.
The governor also says he's spoken with the defense secretary about requesting military help. The police are overwhelmed.
We were confronted with tens of thousands of rioters.
And yet, local authorities say there were only about 40 arrests in Minneapolis overnight, as protesters flatly ignored the newly curfew. For hours, mayhem in Minneapolis. Rioters ruled the streets. It's clear the violence is spreading. Right now, multiple buildings are on fire. The National Guard just arrived on the scene. It seems like a dramatic escalation from what we saw the night before. The rising tensions came hours after fired officer Derek Chauvin, seen in this video kneeling on George Floyd's neck, was charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter. Protesters are now demanding the 3 other former officers involved in the case be arrested. Many of the demonstrations, including this huge rally today, have been peaceful. Now, they're being overshadowed.
There needs to be real change. I understand the outrage, but the good majority of the people that did this are from the community.
Today, the Ocampo family returned to the Mexican restaurant they've run for 60 years. It opened at this new location weeks ago. Riots shatter more than glass.
It was really heartbreaking to see, like, everything you worked for kind of be thrown out the window. But we understand why. Like, we understand the pain behind everything, and it's just a hard time for everyone.
This family and so many others are bracing for another long night.
It's crazy. It's just, I think there's just going to be a point where everything is going to be ruined. There has to be change.
Jose, the governor says thousands more National Guard members will be on hand, but it's unclear whether that'll be enough. Right over there is the 5th Police Precinct that was attacked last night. Right now, these protesters are peaceful, but it's early. Jose?
Gabe Gutierrez in Minneapolis, thank you. Tensions escalating outside the White House tonight. President Trump is doubling down, warning protesters what could happen if things get out of control. Leo Johnson.
Tonight, the White House itself is again a target for protest. Demonstrators on famed Pennsylvania Avenue climbed a top-secret service vehicle. The president himself predicted more clashes would come, but he had this twist on Twitter, what could be seen as a trolling invitation. Tonight, I understand, is second night at the White House. But Mr. Trump claims he was not toying with racial tensions.
So it's me.
The president again stoked tensions when he tweeted that if protesters had breached the fence, they would have been greeted with the most vicious dogs and most ominous weapons. Imagery that Washington, D.C.'s mayor Muriel
Following up on a missing persons report, Mars Summers, age 29, was last seen 3 days ago at the newly opened Premier's Hotel. The owners of the hotel claimed she left around 3:15 p.m. on the 21st, but the police are still not ruling out the possibility of them being potential suspects. This is Samuel Applegate for Our News.
Family and peaceful protesters.
America justice.
It's so great.
I will not allow angry mobs to dominate. What happened? And Kelly, the president talked about sending in military help. Where does that stand?
Well, officials say there are several units of U.S. military police, not National Guard, on alert, able to travel in just 4 hours, but that would require the rare request from the governor of Minnesota or any governor to get that help. The president says he is prepared to offer that military reinforcement. Jose.
Kelly, At the White House, thank you. As demonstrations across the country grow increasingly violent, there is disturbing new information tonight that some who are there for justice but have other motives in mind. Kathy Ford.
Tonight, growing questions about who may be under those masks, sparking the violent wave of protests in Minneapolis and across the country.
I think our best estimate right now that I heard is about 20% is what we think are Minnesotans, and about 80% are outside.
He said, come over here.
Condemning the agitators. Attorney General Barr alleging outsiders and extremists are fueling the destruction.
In many places, it appears the violence is planned, organized, and driven by anarchic and left extremist groups, far left extremist groups, using Antifa-like tactics, many of whom travel from outside the state to promote the violence.
In Minnesota, protesters are told to stay home. In Louisville, there's a curfew.
You have people who are not local, who are coming in with the sole purpose of agitating and creating disturbance and division.
And while investigators try to identify and arrest the perpetrators, white supremacist groups are saying on social media that they are going to the protest. Minnesota's Attorney General pointed to a disturbing moment where a masked man with an umbrella is seen destroying a business that's unrelated to the tragedy.
That led me to believe that there is real, legitimate evidence that this is a very serious operation being done to tarnish the legitimate protest that is going on.
Law enforcement experts say these outside groups thrive on wreaking havoc.
They live for the fires, the violence, the confrontation. It won't slow them down one bit. The only thing that's going to slow the anarchist groups and the white supremacist groups is the rest.
Thousands of city protesters are on the move. Demonstrations have been all-time boroughs of the city. And while this crowd is growing, they have largely been stilled. But last night, police arrested over 200 people. Okay?
Happy Park in New York, thank you. A stunning new era of space travel started today when two NASA astronauts launched in a rocket built by a private company. NBC's Tom Costello was at the Kennedy Space Center with more on their mission.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
With a thunderous rocket war, America opened a new chapter in space history today. The first launch in 9 years and the first private company ever to launch NASA astronauts into space.
Dragon nominal trajectory.
Astronauts Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken traveling 17,000 miles per hour for a Sunday morning rendezvous with the space station. Isolated since March to avoid COVID exposure, they donned their new spacesuits this morning before waving goodbye a second time to their families. With millions tuning in around the world, hundreds of thousands lined the Florida coast to watch the launch in person. Some choosing to socially distance, but many, if not most, caught up in the moment.
We're still America. We're still strong. We're brave. We can overcome these challenges, and we still press forward.
Hurley and Behnken arriving at launch pad 39A in an Elon Musk Tesla. The volatile weather clearing just in time as the president and vice president return for the second attempt.
Eco. Falcon stage separation confirmed.
The liftoff and rocket separation exactly as planned.
Dragon SpaceX nominal orbital insertion.
In a signature SpaceX maneuver, its booster rocket returned to a bullseye